All the rigging of this beautiful ship was howling. All right, what's up guys? Here in the garage, and I have an interesting list of questions. This comes from Richie Fender, originally from Asheville, North Carolina, and he now lives in Highland, California. Richie is a 40-year-old professional and is a quality monitor for a major bank. So he's the guy that listens into all those calls that say monitored and recorded. Anyway, Richie's got an MBA with a specialization in marketing and leadership. And he's a car guy. He's had a Datsun 200SX, Pontiac Firebird, Toyota Corolla, Chevy Camaro, Acura Integra, Honda Civic Si, Honda Prelude, Honda S2000, Jeep Wrangler, Jeep Cherokee, GMC Envoy, Dodge Ram, Ford Focus. Currently, though, he's got an 06 Mini Cooper JCWS, a John Cooper Works, yes, I remember that, and a Jeep Renegade Trailhawk, which is the well-advisors model, and a Hyundai Santa Fe. He writes to me and says, I love everything performance cars and would like to autocross, even track the Mini one day. I've always wanted to be involved in racing. I would love to go to SEMA one day, but I'm not part of the automotive community. I was, however, a co-founder of a failed performance shop. Okay, man, well, you gave it a try, so that is good. And he admires those who chase their dreams and never give up. Well, I appreciate that, man. So his questions are, in no particular order, how do you stay so positive and content in a world that seems so hostile now? What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment so far? What do you want to be most remembered for? And what is your most favorite vacation memory? All right, man, so that first one, how do I stay so positive and content in a world that seems so hostile now? I'm gonna tell you my absolute secret to life that nobody would get. I'm not content. If you look outside, we live in such a viciously divisive world socially. You know, our culture is changing daily. The needs of people are changing and everybody's at everybody's throat on the internet. Well, you know, anyone who has standards or values for themselves, for life, or they want better things for the future, they're not gonna be content all the time. And you know what? That's okay. That's what drives a better tomorrow. So I think that the balance really comes down to what gives somebody personal pride, what gives them a base, what gives them a sense of self-worth. That's really it, and contentness. You know, so what does that for me as family? My wife, having a loving relationship and working on that together. You know, I also enjoy building something. I gotta create to be happy, whether it's art or working on this car or building a custom motorcycle, that's fun too. Genius Garage matters a lot to me. The opportunity to affect in a positive way the creative young people of tomorrow, the engineers, the designers, and help set them on their way where they wouldn't have had those chances otherwise means everything to me. It's a really fantastic thing because this is the best way that I can make sure there's a better tomorrow. Creating things like my Omega car prototype, the recyclable car prototype, and even doing, you know, entertaining things like the world's only full-scale flying pterosaur make me more contented, shall we say. But truthfully speaking, when I look out there in the world in the future, I'm not content. And I'm working as hard as I can to make things better because that's the only thing to do. So if you're not content, and I imagine if you're listening into conversations for grumpy people calling a bank, you might also find it easy to not be contented, and that's okay. Anybody with standards isn't gonna be. But it comes down to what you work to do for tomorrow to make it better. And not everybody's having a perfect life all the time. My behind the scenes, I work my butt off, and it's not always perfect, but that's okay. Just be you and keep rocking. So let's move on. What do I feel is my greatest accomplishment so far? Genius Garage. Building something that works. Figuring out that formula and affecting the lives of great young people to where they're gonna have better careers tomorrow, that we're gonna have better and stronger industry tomorrow, and that academia has something to fall back on to give young people all the real world experiences and mentorship that they're not getting elsewhere. That's really it. I did actually, it was neat enough to get a Lifetime Achievement Award from the White House from the President of the United States. That was really cool because, believe it or not, it's like one of the only awards you can get that's not political. I had over 4,000 volunteer hours in, so that meant a lot. So, you know, Genius Garage and being able to align my life in such a way to affect young people, that's certainly been a great accomplishment there. What do I want to be most remembered for, you ask? You know, honestly, man, I don't really care if anybody remembers me when I'm dead and gone. I mean, who cares? You know, I'm not trying to be a, you know, it's not about that. It's not about me being remembered, but it is about what I do. I do hope that the standards I set for Genius Garage and teaching and moving things forward with regard to manufacturing with the Omega car, recyclable, all these positive things for a better long-term future for our nation, for our culture, for the globe, for the environment, that's what I care about. So rather than me being remembered when I'm old and dead and it doesn't matter anymore, I would rather the things that I've done set into motion positive things for the future of the earth and people. And what is my most favorite vacation memory? Who goes on vacation, man? Like, seriously. I remember my family when I was young, we worked so hard, we never went on a summer vacation. And then in the winter, there was no business, so then we didn't feel like we could go on vacation. My neighbors once, when I was a kid, took me on vacation. I think they felt sorry for me. That was fun. And I don't really do vacations. I know my wife would like to go to the beach. And we went on a honeymoon, so I guess that's a vacation. That was nice. But I do something kind of like a vacation. Occasionally, I'll go on a Casey adventure, right? You know, where it's like, I'm gonna drive an old car across country in the winter and drive to the top of a mountain or go sailing. So, my favorite memories from a Casey adventure vacation happened within a couple days of each other. It was November, and I was on a replica of a middle 1800s clipper ship. That's a 3-masted square rigger clipper ship, 250-foot long ship from like the tea trades back in the 1800s. Were they really fast? Okay, so we're sailing. And the ship was named the Stad Amsterdam. We left the port in Mouden in the Netherlands in the North Sea through the English Channel out in the Atlantic Ocean. And it was great. We're there with the crew. I was the only person on the ship from North or South America, so that was really neat to get outside of my own culture and everything like that. A lot of Europeans there, people from the East, Australia, etc. And you make friends, and you see a lot. So, favorite memory. 2 of them. Both happen at night. A sailing ship out in the Atlantic Ocean at night is an amazing thing because you don't see land, you don't see other ships, and if there's no moon, it's really, really dark. But you're moving on this great beast through the ocean. And the first one actually happened in the North Sea when it was rough the first night. And I'm seasick. I'm on the back of this thing. We're putting up like high water, high wind, rough seas ropes so people can grab on and not get thrown overboard, right? So we're in the back of the ship and with a couple other guys, and we got the rope and we're pulling as hard as we can like this on the back of the ship. And the back and the front of the ship go up and down the most, you know what I mean? So we're going up and down. And I can see like 2 stars through the clouds. And what's amazing is all the rigging of this beautiful ship was howling in the wind. It sounded like there was a jet, commercial jet, landing over it. But this like otherworldly, like organic howl of this great beast. And we're pulling on it, and that kind of weirdly reminded me of riding a horse. So it just hit me that I felt like I was on the back of this giant sea monster Leviathan. I know that sounds ridiculous, but seriously, because it's just bounding through the sea. And I'm not gonna stop it. The best I can do is hang on. I literally felt like I was on some like sort of biblical sea monster. That was like the first night, right? Another night, going into it in the Atlantic, it was calmer. It was smooth, right? The wind was reasonable, and we're carrying along at a decent clip. And I could see stars, pockets through the clouds, and the clouds were subtly illuminated. And I just went out after you got your sea legs and just standing on the deck. I'm not holding on to anything, which is key. And it was the moment where, because it was a ship, and it was large enough that you were in the ocean and you're floating, it's not a car, you're not connected to something hard. Make sense? Not dynamic. That when you stood there long enough and just looked up at the stars, you got the moment where you're not on solid ground. You're literally floating. And I know this sounds insanely cheesy, but I absolutely felt like we were on a sailing ship just floating through the stars. There was no connection to Earth or any bounds. We were literally just floating through the stars on this grand sailing ship. And that was incredible. So the last great memory from that, you know, there were little ones, of course, singing with the crew or working on it and, you know, great laughs and things shared. But the last great memory was a moonless night. And I don't know, we're on a watch or something, and I was out there, kind of out by the bow on the starboard side of the ship. And I looked out, and you didn't hear about bioluminescent algae? Well, there were dolphins. You couldn't even see the water. It was moonless. But what was amazing was the bioluminescent algae in there when the dolphins would swim by, would get disturbed. So these dolphins were illuminating subtle green and blue, and it looked almost electric, like it was arcing around these dolphins. And you could just watch them playing, whether they go down deep or up or crest the water. And it was like the most trippy fairy tale you could ever imagine, leaning over this ship with other people way out in the Atlantic Ocean and seeing nothing but dolphins, green, illuminated, and going around. And I was just so excited. We were running around watching this. And I remember after that running to the stern of the ship and looking over the back. And the ship, as it went through the water, would just ever so subtly illuminate as the ship itself churned the algae. And the dolphins would just like that. It was like Life of Pi with the scene of the whale jumping, except for me, it was dolphins. So that was truly some of the greatest memories. I'm sure there'll be more, but that's what I got, man. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe, and I look forward to see you guys' other questions. Catch you next time.